Okay, so I'm back, and I know that people are gonna watch this video and be like, did she change her hair and her clothes and maybe take a shower? And the answer is yes. I was filming and I used my iPhone to film, and partway through it was like, oh yeah, you don't have the storage for this, and it just stopped filming, and I got frustrated and I was like, I'm just gonna go take a shower and then I'll come back and I'll fix this out. It's my first film, guys. It's my first filming. Like, I'll get better as I go along. But yeah, so going right back to it, we were talking about the oatmeal, and we were talking about his comic about Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek. And we were talking about, you know, how being on the plane that crashed, and he saw, this is what the oatmeal says, he saw that we are all passengers pitching downward into the night. He saw that we're all helpless, so get up and help someone. And I just think that's really applicable to the times we're living in now. There are a lot of days where I cannot, or I won't keep up with the news. It's just too much, and sometimes it is really hard getting out of bed. But when I remember that yes, I'm just one person, but I can still help somebody. I can still make it easier for someone. And if I need help, it's okay to ask for help. There are people who are willing to help me too. It does make things a lot more bearable and a lot easier to get through. So I really recommend the oatmeal. He has like a lot of funny comics. He has one about his dog that I love. I have dogs and I love them, my fur babies, and I'll link that below too. And just a really great comic. So now we're moving on to TV and film. That, you know, TV shows and film that have helped me with my mental health stuff. And so the first one is going to be Steven Universe. I understand not everyone likes Steven Universe, but to me that was a show that it honestly felt like it. You know how sometimes you find something and you're like, it just feels so personal, like it was made for you, or it just has all these things that you like. I feel that way about Steven Universe. First off, the main character is Steven. My name is Stephanie. You know, I love the style of the show. Everything's like very pastel colored, and as you can see, I love pastels. I love the storyline and how it's there's a lot of representation. There are a lot of people, a lot of, you know, different people, different capabilities, and I do love that. I've kind of always felt like an outsider dealing with depression and anxiety. I always felt like I was on the outside looking in, so I do love to see people that aren't normally represented. I do love to see storylines filled with characters that are different, or that, you know, aren't always featured in movies and TV shows. I love the music of Steven Universe, and I love how it focuses so much on healthy relationships with people, with yourself, how it focuses on overcoming trauma. You know, I won't give too much away in case anyone wants to watch Steven Universe. There's Steven Universe, there's a movie, and then there's the Steven Universe, the future. Steven Universe Future, sorry. It's Steven Universe, and there's like 5 seasons. Steven Universe the movie, and then Steven Universe Future. And Steven Universe Future kind of wraps everything up. And it's really great storytelling. I'm just a big fan. It definitely helped me with dealing with trauma. A huge learning experience for me has been learning how to set boundaries, learning that it's okay to say no to in friendships, and that, you know, or in any relationship, and that a healthy relationship, people will respect your boundaries. This show really helped me with that. I just love it so much. And again, if it's not your cup of tea, that's okay. But for me, I love it. And there is a song, because on my iPhone I try to have, you know, a playlist that'll help me when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling anxious. Steven Universe has a song, Here Comes a Thought, that I think is just so perfect when it comes to having anxious thoughts, or, you know, feeling anxious, feeling on the verge of a panic attack. I just think it's such a beautiful song, so I'll link it down below. I love Steven Universe, and like how he has Lion, and you know I'm a Leo, so you know, like I just feel like this show was just made for me, and I just love it so much. I definitely recommend it. So the next one is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I love this show, and you know, I didn't watch it for a long time because I remember there was like all this controversy. You know, there was like a lot of people like, this is not, you know, the 1985 television series or whatever. And listen, it's okay for things to be based off of something. It's okay for a creator come and like, hey, I want to take, you know, the foundation of this, but I'm going to try to make it into something different. That's okay. If you don't like it, you don't have to digest it. But it's okay for things to exist. Example, I'm a big fan of the Jumanji movie with Robin Williams, the original one. I've seen the new ones and I don't hate them, but my favorite is the original Jumanji. But I think, oh my god, they're making the new one. Why are they doing this? Like, oh, that's cool. They're making a new Jumanji movie for a new generation. That's cool. My original still exists. You know, it's not that big of a deal, so it's okay. But I kind of stayed away from the show because I didn't really understand. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But I probably saw like some positive review and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it. It's so good, so good. This is another movie, like, again, like the way it's drawn, the different characters featured, like it's just such great storytelling. And the series was developed by Noelle Stevenson, and who I'm a huge fan of. She has a comic series called Lumberjanes, which I love. It's one of my favorite comics. Friendship to the Max. It's so good. I'll link that below too, but it's just so good. That sidebar real quick, that comic book is about like a group of girls that become friends at a summer camp. And that sounds super basic, but it's not, because there's mythology thrown into it, and like the camp has like a lot of like there's time travel, there's paranormal stuff, like there's goddesses, like it's just so good. I love it. And so that's why I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch She-Ra because I love Lumberjanes, I love Noelle Stevenson, and it's just such a good show. And the representation, the love stories, and I also, again, it's complex storytelling deals with trauma, deals with emotional abuse, deals with being abused and then you yourself becoming abusive. There's a character like that, and her redemption arc, I think, is just very complex storytelling, and I just really love it. So yes, I'll link that below if you can watch it. It's on Netflix. It's really great. I love it. And you know, it recently finished, so all the seasons are there. Super great. Okay. Oh, okay. So the next one, and I binged this series at the very beginning of the pandemic. So in March, when things started closing, you know, my job was, I work in a field where it closed too, so there was no job, and like, just, I was having a lot of anxiety because it was like, oh, this is a lot bigger than we thought, and dealing with that and just being scared. And then you start, you know, you start getting the news and how severe it is. And the show is Schitt's Creek, and they recently won an Emmy, so that's awesome and great for them. They definitely deserve it. And when I first started watching it, I was like everybody else, where it was like the first couple episodes, I'm like, I don't really like it, you know, like it's, I'm trying to remember the vibe of it, where it just, I guess the vibe fell off, you know, and like, you know, like, it's, because the main story, or the main plot point of Schitt's Creek is, you know, it's very rich people who got, I think they got screwed over by somebody, or maybe by their tax guy. I don't remember, but the basis is that they were very rich and then they lost all their money. So it's riches to rags story. And they're unlikable in the beginning, and I'm like, and the storyline, I'm like, where's this going? I'm like, I don't really get it. And the whole thing is they go back to Schitt's Creek because it was I think the father bought it for his son as a birthday gift, like, haha, you own a town called Schitt's Creek for the name. And it's like, this little, like, very humble town, like a very small town. And the first couple episodes, I'm like, it's not really, and I think I like Googled, and they were like, no, stick with it, and I stuck with it, and it was so worth it. It was so lovely, so lovely, like, I can't even, like a warm fuzzy hug, and it just, great storytelling, because then you understand, okay, the beginning, you really have to pinpoint, like, where these people come from, that they're not very likable, they're not close to each other, they are kind of self-absorbed, and, like, as they start growing and becoming better people, it does feel real, it doesn't feel forced, it does feel genuine, and it does feel earned, and it's just such a lovely show. Definitely perfect for the beginning of the pandemic. It definitely, because it was an escapism, and it was an escapism to a very, like, lovely town that looks out for each other, but it's also funny, and it's just very sweet, and it was just like a nice warm hug. And if you haven't seen it and it's kind of bumpy in the beginning, I do recommend sticking with it. It is really good. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea, but I'm very happy that I stuck with it. It was so cute. I loved it. Sometimes I want to go back and watch it again, but like any show, there's happy moments and sad moments, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to relive the sad moments, but it was so cute. I loved it. So definitely recommend. The next thing is the Marvel Universe. Okay, I stayed away from Marvel for so long, and DC too, from just all the superhero movies. I was like, I don't, because every so often there was a new one, and I was like, this is overwhelming for me, like, this is just too much. And I had some idea of, I've seen, like, Batman, I guess, Superman, I've seen certain movies, so, like, you and I knew, like, okay, that's DC, that's Marvel, like, okay, there's different superheroes. I'm like, I get it. I like comic books, but I don't like those comic books. I've never read superhero comic books. I more like indie ones, and again, that doesn't mean that they're bad or anything, it's just a different narrative. I have different interests and different tastes, and that's kind of what I gravitate towards. And it just seemed like so many different stories, and it just seemed like a whole to-do, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know about all that. And I think that there was a point, I think it was a year or two ago, and it was like I was probably feeling really kind of weak and kind of probably beaten down a bit, and I don't know what it was, but I started watching the superhero movies, started watching all the Marvel movies. I wish I remembered which one I started with. I know we as a family, we watched Black Panther, because there was a period of time where I was doing movie nights, and I definitely recommend movie nights, with your family, but in my family, I was the one who had to keep doing it. I was like, man, you guys could do this. It was movie night, and then making, like, a different snack each time, and it was really sweet, but it's like, man, it's always on me, so, we've kind of, it's not as consistent. But we saw Black Panther together, and everyone loved it. Like, it was a really good movie, and, R.I.P. That's a whole video, because it was such a lovely movie, and, like, I wasn't sure how my parents were gonna react, just because they don't really like superhero movies like that, but they loved it, and it was a really good family night. And maybe from there I started watching all the other Marvel movies. you know, one of my favorites is Thor Ragnarok. I did my best. Because I love Taika Waititi. I love him. I love him from this sidebar real quick, but if you, I know him from What We Do in the Shadows. If you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, I totally recommend. You know, because everybody did mockumentary styles, but this is a mockumentary about vampires living in an apartment together, and it's so good. It's so good. I love it. So Thor Ragnarok, I just love how, I love the humor. I love the characters that he added. I was like, yes, I love this. Captain America, of course, my boo Chris Evans. I was like, hey, babe, you know. And I started watching all of them, the Avengers, and it was just really lovely, and it really helped. Like, if you know, if you're feeling not great about where your life is, or you just have, I think we all have moments where we just don't feel very strong, or we feel kind of, you know, downtrodden, and the Marvel Universe just like really helped with all of that. And I definitely saw DC, like I definitely loved Wonder Woman. I did not like Batman versus Superman. No, but I did really like Wonder Woman, but specifically the Marvel Universe, because it was so many movies, and I just watched all of them. And even now, if I'm feeling kind of, it's a very particular mood. If I'm feeling, maybe I kind of want escapism, you know, and maybe I kind of need like some boost, you know, to like my energy or something. I'll watch the Avengers, and I'll be like, fuck yeah, I'm back. So I really like Marvel. Very good. And there's so many different ones. I get it if you don't like superhero movies, but it's worth. Don't be like me where I kind of wrote it off without actually watching any of the movies. At least give one of them a chance, and you might really enjoy it. So now we're to the last one, and this one's gonna hurt. This one is going to hurt to admit. So a little bit of a backstory. My dad is obsessed with the Hallmark Channel. Okay, when I tell you obsessed, I mean obsessed. I mean, if we go travel or something, you're like, yeah, cool, sightseeing, whatever, Can you find the Hallmark Channel on the TV for me? He's obsessed. Okay, he loves Christmas. Christmas is his favorite holiday. The man is walking around with a shirt that makes it, you know, it looks like Santa Claus's like suit, but it's a t-shirt. He watches all the Christmas movies. It's a lot. If you hear dogs barking, those are my dogs. But it's a lot. And he's tried to get me to watch the Hallmark Channel, and you know, it's my dad's, you want to spend time with him, and it'll be a new movie, and I'll be like, dude, this is what's gonna happen. You know, she's gonna fall in love with him, but her job's gonna keep her away, and then she's gonna come back at the airport, it's gonna be dramatic, and then they're gonna fall in love. He's like, you've seen this one. I'm like, no, it's just very easy to figure out how a Hallmark movie's gonna go. Like, they're very, there's a specific formula, right? So I would make fun of him. I don't mess with the Hallmark Channel until there's a series, and it's called Signed, Sealed, Delivered. And it's like, it's cheesy, you know, and it like has to deal with like, they work for the post office, and like they help like deliver mail that was undeliverable. And it's like, it's very cheesy, but it's well acted compared to all the other, not even compared to the Hallmark stuff. Like, I'm like, all right, okay, I see some acting chops. Like, it's very cute. It's old fashioned-y, but like in a sweet way. And I was like, all right, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. And then there was one episode where these sons of they got me. They got me because the episode was about mental health, and they handled it so beautifully. When I tell you that they handled it with care, they treated the character who had a mental health illness with respect. They told her how strong she was. Bro, I was sitting there with my dad. I was like, they got me. I was like, the Hallmark Channel got me. Like, and they talked about, I'm going to do a separate video for that episode, but they talked about a woman who would, I'm gonna have to, if I can find her name, I'll probably just like put it up here when I'm editing. But they talked about a specific woman who would go undercover at, to mental health hospitals and talk about the conditions and just fought to make things better. And when I tell you that these, and they got me. I was like, all right, Hallmark Channel, I see you, you know, because there are a lot of things, and I'm gonna have a specific series about mental health representation in media and film, and I'm gonna do an award for very good portrayals, and then the poop awards for the no, this is not it, or this is not how it should be represented or talked about. And for the Hallmark Channel to just have this episode that is just so respectful and informative and just treats the character with dignity, I was like, all right, Hallmark Channel, I see you, you got me. And very lovely. So the series is called Sign, Seal, Deliver. I'll also try to find the name of the episode and put it up here, but it was really sweet and really lovely to watch. So now to wrap up the video, I'm going to do three forms of media that I actually stay away from because I know it'll be triggering for me. And it doesn't mean that the media is not good or that, you know, it's not, or that I think it's bad. It's just I know it's triggering. That's part of, you know, taking care of your mental health, is knowing your triggers and knowing, you know, learning coping mechanisms or learning to avoid certain things. And that kind of exists in so many things. It could be movies you watch, the art you digest, the people you hang out with, certain actions you do. And I'm going to start with the first one. So the first form of media I stay away from is Rick and Morty. And Rick and Morty looks like a great show. It looks super funny. It looks lovely, but I know that it deals a lot with existentialism and existential dread, and, you know, that life has no meaning and all that stuff. And I get it. I've been down that road. I've thought those thoughts, but when you're symptomatic or when you're struggling with depression, when I specifically, because this doesn't mean that everyone feels the same way, but when I struggle with depression and anxiety, I'm just not doing myself any favors by viewing media that kind of deals with that, you know, and I stay away from it. It looks like a very good show, but I don't watch anything about it. You know, it kind of exists, and I'm like, oh, that's good. And, you know, I know that Dan Harmon created it, and I was a big fan of Community, but I just kind of, I'm like, it looks good, but I just know it'll be triggering. So again, yeah, no offense to the Rick and Morty fans. Looks like a great show, but I just know it's not going to help me. So that's the first one. The second one is BoJack Horseman. Nope. No. Again, looks very good. You know, because when I say it looks very good, like, I've caught, like, you know, maybe not seen a full episode, but I've seen parts on YouTube. And if I feel, you know, if I just don't feel good watching it, I'm like, okay, I know that this is triggering. Or if I feel like that bit of, like, empty sadness, I'm like, nope, I gotta stay away from it. And, you know, BoJack Horseman deals with depression, and it's a very accurate description, but it's one of those descriptions where it's like, it doesn't make me, the parts that I saw didn't make me feel hopeful. It made me feel like, okay, this is too close to home, and it just makes me really sad. And, you know, it looks very funny, and I know how celebrity is a big part of the show, and, you know, they kind of make fun of it, which I'm all for. I think, if anything, this pandemic has shown us, like, you know, celebrities can be a little full of it. You know, looking at you, Gal Gadot, with your Imagine song, right? They can be a little full of it, so I do think it's okay to, I don't think it's just okay, I do think it's necessary to kind of poke fun at it. But I've seen some BoJack Horseman memes, and I'm like, this is too close to home. I can't. I had a friend who watched it, and he said that, you know, there were some episodes that left him, like, just, you know, kind of, he had to, like, just take a break. But he was still very grateful that he watched the series. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad that, you know, it was cathartic for you, but I'm like, it's not going to be cathartic for me, so I'm just going to stay away from it. And the last one that I'll do, and it's very broad, but I just don't like it, is the genre horror films. No, that's a no-go for me. And I've never liked it. I've never liked gore. I don't like it, and I stay away from it. But my friends kind of make fun of me because I'll read the synopsis. It's like Hereditary. You think I'm gonna watch Hereditary? No. But I read the synopsis, and even as I was reading the synopsis, you know, there are certain parts that you get to where I'm like, I had to take a break. I was like, that's so sad, because I'm picturing it, or I'm picturing a version of it in my head. I'm like, no. I think it's great movies like that exist. I know that there's a lot of people that are huge horror fans, and I think that's awesome, but it does not work for me. And no. And you know, there are some I can kind of tolerate, where it's like, it's more funny. Shaun of the Dead, you know, it's gory, but it's more funny, so I can watch it. I'm trying to remember the other movie. I don't remember, but it's part of the series of Shaun of the Dead, but that's another movie that I really like. So there are some, like, if it's a little bit gory, but there's more humor to it, I can kind of tolerate it, but for the most part, I just stay away. No Saws for me, no Texas Chainsaw Massacre, no Friday the 13th, no Freddy versus Jason. No. I'm good. I have enough anxiety and enough of things that I fear. I don't need to add more, because I'll be straight up with you. I'm a person where, you know how sometimes you're like, you know, you're on your phone at night or whatever, and it hasn't happened to me in a while, but like sometimes you're watching a video and then there will be an ad for something scary, for a scary movie or something. I'll have to sleep with the light on. Like, I'm a chicken. I'm aware of that, but I stay away from horror because it's just too triggering. So yeah, that was a very long video describing some media that has helped me, how I viewed mental health, how I talk about mental health. It's helped me feel seen, or it's helped give me comfort when I was feeling sad. And then 3 things I stay away from. Doesn't mean that they're bad, just shows that I kind of know my triggers, and I know what helps me and what doesn't. And thank you guys for watching. Below, I'm going to link everything that I mentioned here, and, you know, check it out if you get a chance. You might really enjoy it, and it might really help you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, wonderful day. Please always remember that you matter and you are loved.